To Libra season. In this video, I'm going to be talking about lesser known facts about Libra and how you can take advantage of this season, especially in the overly stimulating world that we live in. So most of you already know that Libra is the sign that's often associated with harmony, balance, and things like that. But the truth is, it's actually not so much about harmony and balance. Libra is actually represented by a scale that measures that balance. And so because of that, oftentimes Libras experience a lot of imbalances. And while this isn't everyone, there is a theme and pattern, which is often spoken about in Vedic astrology, where Libra risings can be more predisposed to experiencing death and trauma in relationships, because being a Libra rising, you're ruled by Venus. Venus also rules your 8th house, which is about death and traumas, with Taurus being there. So there tends to be sometimes this pattern and this association of death related to this. Now, I don't want you to take this as an opportunity to get scared and get worried. There has to be multiple indicators, and not just multiple indicators, but how likely is the indicators to, how much power and strength does it have to manifest, as well as the opportunity to manifest. So these are considerations to make. But I've definitely seen these correlations. My sister was with someone who passed away. My ex was with someone, similar experience. I know a number of people who have these different variations of stories. It's not always in romantic partnerships. There are charts that I've seen where, for example, the late Nikola Stojanovic talked about how 22 degrees, a planet in 22 degrees in Taurus, can be an indicator of death. Now, that really does, again, vary with the other considerations I've mentioned, but if it happens to be in the 8th house of death, this can also be an indicator as well. So there's a lot of different considerations, but when you think about this, this kind of makes sense, because with the Libra being the sign of balance and harmony, and like that sign is here to master and experience those things. If people are just constantly experiencing harmony and balance, then you don't really have to learn to master this. So a lot of times life with Libras, and not just in the life of Libras, but if you're someone who needs to work on harmony and balance during Libra season, this can be a time where there are some imbalances that occur that the universe provides, so that you have an opportunity to work through these things. In this regard, Virgo and Libra do have some similarities, because Virgo is also a sign that experiences a lot of problems and things like that, but it's often associated with your health and in your work environment. So it's less with romantic matters and stuff, and Virgo tends to work behind the scenes and with like small groups of energy, and it's more directed towards resolving practical resolutions and things of that nature, right? And it's more health oriented, work oriented, whereas Libra is about restoring harmony in a more interactive, social sort of a way, because it is an air sign. And so it's about, Libras tend to understand themselves through connecting with other people. A theme that's really common with Libras is that they are prone to indecisiveness. But oftentimes what I've noticed is that a lot of times Libras do struggle with being indecisive, but if you create an environment where Libras don't have to pick one thing, because it represents a set of things, a set of two, is when they choose two things instead of one, this can also mitigate that perpetual indecisiveness. So that's another thing. And if you are experiencing the intensity of indecisiveness with Libra, you can balance this energy out by using the energy of Aries, which is very decisive and makes fast decisions. And you can do this with any sign placements, where if you're experiencing the imbalance of one sign, it's almost like a seesaw, right? If you're top heavy with like overthinking with Libra, and you're being indecisive and you're not able to move forward, then you can balance it out by taking action and being decisive with that Aries energy on the opposite axis. So that can work with any sign. So there are different things related to that. Now, another thing I do want to mention is that the moon and Venus are planetary archetypes of the mother in our chart. And this is where I find that using the Libra energy can be really beneficial for overwhelmed mothers or even anyone that's experiencing overwhelm. And Libra can be a way to practice harmony and self-care. And this is because I was talking to a friend of mine who was mentioning that she gets so overwhelmed with the demands of being a mother that she craves connection, but she just doesn't have the energetic bandwidth to do that. So she finds herself getting excited over like small things. And they're things, it's good to be happy about things, you know, but the level of joy that she experiences over mundane things is kind of disproportionate to the actual circumstance, but it's because it's like her lifeline. And so she finds herself wanting to connect, but not having the bandwidth. So she does it in more shallow ways, to the point that like her daughter has kind of called her out, thinking that her mom's not that bright, even though she has like multiple master's degrees, she's a doctor, and she's highly intelligent and very analytical, but it's something that she struggles to sort of maintain, which I thought was really interesting. Because for someone who has a Scorpio stellium is when you have 3 or more planets in a single zodiac sign, you take on the energy of that sign. It ends up being this concentrated area of your life. Scorpio is very much about going down the rabbit hole. It's very psychological and really like deep and heavy and stuff like that. And so for me, it's difficult to kind of connect with Libra energy. Like I need something of more substance, something that's a little bit deeper in order for me to feel satiated. But because the world is so stimulating, it's very therapeutic sometimes to have those lighter connections where you don't have to be really super invested and go down the rabbit hole in order to feel connected. And I think that this is especially something that's really important as we go into the colder season, because as we get into the colder season and we get into Virgo season, which is the sign of health issues and stuff, our immune system it's not as strong and fortified as when it's warmer, right? So using that Virgo energy is great to improve your health, work behind the scene, make the healthy changes, and then also making sure as we go into Libra season to have that human connection, socializing. This is important for our immunity, for our self-care, for our self-esteem. And with the world being really stimulating, with our immune system not being as strong as it is, and us just having to adjust to these seasonal changes and things like that, really incorporating more Libra into our life can be a really valuable form of self-care. It can be something that you use to have that connection that has that interaction that you need. And even just like within your home, Libra rules aesthetics, design and stuff, but it's more monochromatic, it's cleaner, it's less visual sensory overload. And so this can be really beneficial for the overly stimulating world that we live in as well. And as someone who has, I have my moon in Libra, it's something that I found to be very beneficial. So even if you don't have your moon in Libra, if you find yourself environmentally very overwhelmed, this is a great time to sort of make aesthetics be something where it's not overwhelming you. Libra is a great way to kind of use this energy to balance out. And I feel like this isn't something that's talked about often enough, because there's a lot of discussions on how Libra is about overthinking and mentalizing things, and that's very much a thing. But it's like, okay, well, what are we supposed to do with that? How can we change that? You know, because there's a lot of value in being able to intellectualize our feelings, because if we're emotionally spiraling, our mind can be an anchor, but it can also be misused. And if we're told these are the challenges without tools on what we can do, it can just sort of perpetuate things. And so this is why I've mentioned creating a space with less visual sensory overload and trying to connect to sort of the lighter energy of Libra is really beneficial, especially if you are prone to overthinking, using the Aries energy to balance out that seesaw, things of that nature. And also just learning what helps you to restore harmony and balance. We all have different things that really support us, and really starting to identify what that looks like for you is going to be really beneficial. And also, I feel like trauma healing is a theme that's very heavily focused on more for Scorpios and Pisces. But Libras can also be a sign where there's a lot of emphasis on that, because wherever Taurus is in your chart, the energy moves the slowest. So having Taurus in your 8th house of trauma could show that moving through trauma can take a longer amount of time for you, because Taurus maintains things. And the 8th house is about trauma triggers, trauma loops, trauma healing. So finding ways to work with your Libra can be really beneficial, because while Taurus is a fixed sign, Libra is a cardinal. It's very initiating. So initiating, processing trauma one-on-one with other people to get support, changing your mindset, considering how you communicate so that it's more restorative, harmonizing, beneficial. These are really great things to do, especially as we move from the energy of Virgo, where there's an awareness of a hyper awareness even of criticism, and how we can, and using that energy to create sort of the resolutions and improvements, and then really interacting and engaging with that energy in Libra is a wonderful way to use this sort of energy. It's something that I think a lot of us can experience more of. I know that I'm guilty of thinking like, wow, like Libra signs, I'm like, there's not enough depth there. I want something more. I have this deeper satiation. But also in a world where we're so overly stimulated, I feel like now more than ever, connecting with that Libra energy is so important. And it's not limited to Libra season, but especially during this time, it's a great time to really connect with this and see where would you benefit from harmony. Now, if you do want to know more about the best way for you to process traumas and work through this energy during Libra season, check out my YouTube channel. I do have videos specifically on the best way for you to process trauma using your chart based on your sign placements. So go ahead and check that channel out, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to it. Thanks so much for watching, and have a beautiful day. Bye!